I can call this evening's meeting to order. We have two agendas that we're going to be entertaining tonight. First off is our Committee of the Whole agenda, and that will be followed by our council meeting. So with that, I will ask Barbara Butters, Councillor Butters, to give us our prayer this evening, and that will be followed by Mr. Joe Longfellow, who will be leading us with the National Anthem. So, Councillor Butters.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This prayer is attributed to Sir Francis Drake. Disturb us, Lord, when we are too well pleased with ourselves, when our dreams have come true because we have dreamed too little, when we arrive safely because we sailed too close to the shore. Disturb us, Lord, when with the abundance of the things we possess, we have lost our thirst for the waters of life. Having fallen in love with life, we have ceased to dream of eternity, and in our efforts to build a new earth, we have allowed our vision of the new heaven to dim. Disturb us, Lord, to dare more boldly, to venture on wider seas where storms will show your mastery. Where losing sight of land, we shall find the stars. We ask you to push back the horizons of our hopes and to push into the future in strength, courage, hope, and love. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons' command. Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée de plus brillant exploit. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you, Joe. Well done.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just like the hockey game.
Members, if I can have, actually, first off, Madam Clerk, are there any addendum items this evening?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, there is one this evening. The delegation with respect to 832 King Street has withdrawn to be rescheduled at another date.
Thank you, Ashley. Members, if I can have a motion to confirm the agenda, please. Councillor Desmarais, seconder. Councillor Bodner, questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? That will be carried. Thank you. Are there any disclosures of interest? With none, we'll move on to items requiring a separate discussion. Councillor Elliott.
Item 10.
Any further items, members? If I can just lift two additional items. Item 2, if I can have a member lift that one, please. Councillor Bodner, if I can get you to lift that one, please. And Councillor Kenny, if you can lift item 19. That'd be great. With no further items, we will now move on to the remainder of the items. If I can have a mover and seconder, please. Councillor Desmarais. Seconder. Councillor Kenny. All those in favor? Opposed? That will be carried. We have no presentation this evening. We have no delegations this evening. Regional councillor is not in attendance. Are there any? I'll tend to any regional business. Any questions or comments about the region? Councillor Butters.
Yes, I just would like to see if you could give us some more assistance on this Pleasant Beach garbage thing. And I had read the answer back from the region, and it just seemed to me that there isn't an answer found yet. And I don't know where it fell off the rails when they were trying to negotiate maybe creating a compound there on a private piece of land to do with associations. So I just wondered if you had any thoughts on that, or if you can keep pushing for the region to come up with a better solution, because what's going on out there is not adequate, and it's
right.
It's not good in anybody's book, I don't think.
Right.
So, thank you.
Actually, I did resurrect it about a month ago after I talked to especially the restaurant. We did the opening at the restaurant, and I had obviously the restaurant owner express concern, but as well as some of the residents of the area that were there at the opening, and a few others that have in the meantime also contacted yourself, myself, Councillor Bodner, through email. So I did resurrect at the region, and I'm hoping to come to some conclusion. Every time we have a new idea, we think it's a new idea, it turns out to be an old idea, and there's an answer to that, especially with respect to the ultimate disrespect from some of the residents on simply just throwing their garbage at the side of the road. Regardless if we put a compound there, have containers there, it just seems like there's a disrespect with respect to just simply leaving the cottage that weekend and throwing their garbage on the side of the road. So we're trying to come up with something. I think Ron brought up a good point over the weekend with respect to the other ideas that we had brought forward. He did make some good points, but I think there should be a solution to it. But by all means, it's going to take involvement and consideration and respect from some of the residents in the area that seem to be the culprits behind a lot of this. So I really do feel for the restaurant that's right there, because you can see the mess. But I think Mr. Howe made a comment over the weekend too that a lot of the, at the very least, at least the garbage is picked up a day or two later. It doesn't just sit there for the entire week. Yeah, so we're on it, and hopefully we can come to some solution and get some idea with involvement from the association. Okay. Any further regional business? Okay, with none, we'll move on to councillors' items. New business. Councillor Danch.
Just a small one there, I guess. I'll have to give it to you there tonight. The former property on Erie Street where we had our baseball building and whatnot. I know the property's been sold, and it must be sold because the grass is 3 feet high. So, I mean, I'd really appreciate if we could maybe get a hold of the owner of the property and see if he could maintain it. It is kind of across from a church I used to attend and blah, blah, blah. But if you could do that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Mr. Lee, that's fine.
To you, Mr. Mayor, I assume you're referring to the old Carpenter's Hall property?
That's what I was.
Okay, yep, we'll have bylaws have a look at that and go from
Great.
there.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Thank you, Mr. Aquilina. And thank you, Councillor. Any further new business? Councillor Bodner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the weekend, I had a call from some residents around the Reeb House that had, apparently the Reeb House had an outside band there playing till well after 1 o'clock. And I just wondered, I think staff is taking care of this, at least with alerting the owner that it isn't appropriate, and also telling residents what they can do if this happens again. And I just wondered whether we could be assured of that from Mr. Aguilina, that that's in the works.
Mr. Aquilina?
Sir, through you to Councillor Bonner, yes, absolutely. Our bylaw enforcement staff will notify the property owner to inform that there is a process to get exemptions under the noise bylaw, and we will inform him of that in the process involved to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Aquilina. Councillor? Great, thank you. Further new business? With none, staff, any updates? Everybody's good? Everybody looks so tired. Canal days just wore you out, right? Okay, guys, thanks. We'll now move on to the adoption of the minutes. I do have a set of minutes here from the 18th meeting regular of Committee of the Whole, dated July 22nd, 2013. A mover and seconder, please. Councillor Danch, Councillor Elliott, questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? That will be carried. We'll now move on to the items requiring separate discussion. First off, we'll start off with Councillor Bodner, item 2.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Department of Planning and Development Report Number 2013-49, subject support and principle for precast concrete manufacturing in EI extractive industrial zone, that notwithstanding comments submitted by the public, city departments and divisions, and persons and agencies listed in section 5.9 of Ontario Regulation 545/06, Port Colborne City Council supports, in principle, the use of land zoned EI extractive industrial for manufacturing uses incidental to quarry operations.
Thank you, Councillor. Do I have a seconder to that, please? Councillor Butters, are there any questions or comments to this? I wanted to lift it just to highlight it, members of council. Okay, Councillor Bodnar?
I guess the only thing is, and I think it kind of struck us as, why would we give support in principle, I think, you know, just, it seems to be a little bit out of the norm ahead of a public meeting, so, you know, I guess that was
Okay, thank
kind
you.
of the.
Mr. Howe?
Through your worship, this was discussed at length with the General Manager and Economic Development Officer, Director of Economic Development. What we were hoping to do, we understand that there may be an interest. This is being advanced through economic development. The official position from planning, and it's really important, is this a compatible use? And the professional planning staff are saying, yeah, it is. It's really compatible in a quarry. Somebody wants to make septic tiles or cement steps or, you know, cement bridge decks. It's all compatible. The reasons here tonight in principle is not to support or oppose the zoning. That has to go through the public process. No different than the last gentleman was here asking council for an opinion. This is not an opinion on the zoning application. It's the use, which is it a reasonable use in a quarry to make concrete products? And the report is yes, in principle, and I want to make it very clear that you're not supporting a zoning. That has to go through the planning process. The amount of trucks and the haulage and all those things have to be considered in that process. This is just, is this use reasonable in the circumstances? And that's the recommendation, to approve the use in principle and nothing more. And the purpose that it's here is to provide the Economic Development Officer with council's position from a use perspective, that he may convey it to someone who is asking about the potential of perhaps manufacturing some concrete precast products within a quarry.
Thank you, Mr. Heil. If I can expand on that, Councillor Bodnar, a bit more in depth. We do have a potential client that's looking at the city of Proclamation for a new plant. And they want to ensure that, with some comfort, that the city of Proclamation is supportive of their operation in this site. And with that, it's a timeline. Basically, they have a board that they speak to. And of course, that recommendation may be going to the board in the next few weeks. So they wanted to have some level of comfort that the city of Proclamation was going to be open for business, and within this location. So we thought it best to bring it before council to support it in principle, so the positive message can go back to their board in Germany. And with that said, hopefully come back with their decision, hopefully being a positive decision to locate here in the city of Proclamation. It is a bit unorthodox, but sometimes in business you have to be a bit unorthodox, unfortunately, to get to the next step. Again, it's a timing issue, and we have to ensure that the city of Proclamation sends out a positive message to a potential new company to locate here. Okay. Any further questions or comments? Councillor Elliott?
Thank you, Mayor. I guess the only concern I have is you support the use in principle. It's not a support of the rezoning. And when we have the public meeting, if 100 people come from Chippewa Road and Concession 2 and everybody comes and says the use that they want to put in here, they're not okay with. The use isn't compatible with the residential area. Their houses may get dust and this and that. And if we've got 100 people that pack the public meeting, tonight we're going to say we support the use in principle, and then you go to the public meeting and everybody comes and say they don't want it, and we hear what the residents have to say. Where does that put us? We say that we want this use and it's compatible with a quarry because they're quarrying the aggregate that goes into the concrete. And then the public meeting comes and you get some pushback from the residents in the area, and we listen to the residents. Does that put us in a bind? Are we getting boxed in with the decision to allow this compatible use as opposed to what the residents have to say? That's my concern. We're kind of saying in principle, yes, prior to a public meeting, and then we're going to hold a public meeting. I'd hate to give people the impression that the decision is made in stone tonight, because that's what we're talking about, and that they don't have a voice come the public meeting. It just seems it's cart before the horse. I know you just said it's unorthodox. I'm trying to think of any time since being on council or prior to watching council that this has been done before, and I can't think of one, so it's just a little on the outside, that's all.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? That'd be carried. Thank you. We'll move right along to our next item. Item 10, Councillor Elliott.
Thank you, Mayor. The correspondence received from Larry Rosnick request to install a sculpture on city property called Totems, Fish, Squirrel, and Crow 2013 be referred to the Director of Engineering and Operations for a staff report.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder to that, please? Councillor Desmarais. Questions or comments? Councillor Elliott.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess pretty simple. Seems like you wanted it done before Canal Day, so that's obviously not going to make it. Have we cut the trees down? Are the trees still there? And in the essence of saving some staff time, do we need a staff report for this? I mean, if we're going to cut the trees down and leave a stump for him to put some art on around his house, which actually looks pretty neat, is there any reason why we shouldn't allow him to do it? And I'll put that
Mr.
out.
Howe?
Your Worship, this is referred, our recommendation referred to staff. We've run into some issues with people wanting to put lots of things on city property, and we want to try and manage this holistically. Not just this. This might be fine, but there are other things coming on, requests coming to city property. We want to bring a policy to council. So the referral back to staff is to try to incorporate this so that we can itemize and list those kinds of things.
Thank you. Councillor Elliott.
I guess the first question, do we cut the trees? Are they still there? I mean, is this request even
Mr. Lee.
worth entertaining, or are they gone?
To you, Mr. Mayor, at this point, I cannot honestly say if we have or haven't, so.
Thank you, Councillor. That's fine. Okay. Councillor Desmarais.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to say that I've spoken with Mr. Rosnick on this issue, and he has some great ideas, and I think that this would be a wonderful addition to that particular area, but I do agree that it should go through staff, and we should come up with some policy on this because it's likely to take flight once this happens. It is really a great idea, and if it's going to happen, it should happen in a very controlled environment. So while I do support it, I would like to see it go through staff.
Thank you. Further questions? All those in favor? Opposed? That will be carried. And the last item, item 19, Councillor Kenny.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's the resolution received from the City of Thorold via rail to passenger rail service be received for information.
Thank you, Councillor. And this is a resolution that we have also passed. Do I have a seconder for it, please? Councillor Danch. Questions or comments to it? Okay, one of the things I'd like to see here, guys, is if we actually support this.
Support it, that's what I was just going to say.
Yeah, so, Madam Clerk, would it be appropriate to simply just have Councillor Kenny put the resolution as for support of this resolution, instead of going through the whole process of, yeah, that'd be great. Okay, Councillor Kenny, if you can put that forward.
Thank you, Mr. Do you want me to read the whole thing, just so people know what it's about?
Sure.
This is received from the City of Thorold. Please be advised that Thorold City Council, at its July 16 meeting, adopted the following resolution. Whereas a passenger rail network is an integral and essential part of Canada's national transportation infrastructure and is vital to economic prosperity. And whereas many communities in Canada have been trying to increase via rail service and improve scheduling to meet the economic and development needs of their regions, and whereas Via Rail has reduced the service to the Niagara area and has canceled the train service to St. Catharines, and whereas Via Rail's mandate to provide safe, efficient, more environmentally sustainable and cost-effective passenger transportation, and whereas a reduction in rail service makes the region less accessible and could negatively impact tourism, business, and property values, and whereas the Niagara region has been chosen as a host location for the Toronto 2015 Para-Pan Am Games, requiring thousands of people to travel to the region, and whereas effective rail service to the region would serve as a foundation for the integrated regional transportation Therefore, be it resolved that the City of Thorold expresses support for affordable, accessible, and reliable rail service to the Niagara region. And be it further resolved that the municipality urge the federal government to invest in infrastructure and provide the necessary funding to ensure that the Niagara region is effectively served by rail service.
Thank you, Councillor. And I do have a second to that. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? That will be carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to notices of motion. Are there any notices of motion this evening? With none, I will ask to adjourn this meeting. Mover and seconder, please. Oh, hold on. Mr. Howe, you had something to say?
I missed it in staff comments that came up today, Your Worship.
Go ahead.
Under Doors Open Niagara, October 18th, 19th, and 20th, we are applying today, through whatever happened, with Friends of Roselawn. We're applying for Doors Open in Niagara for the Roselawn Center for the 18th, 19th, 20th. We'll have some staff costs, and the application fee is $200. They do all the advertising. I just wanted to let you know that we're filing that application because it's brand new as of today.
Thank you, Mr. Howe. Motion to adjourn, please. Councillor Kenny. Councillor Elliott. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? That would be carried. We'll now move on to the council portion of this evening's agenda. We'll start off with Madam Clerk. Any addendum items?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. None this evening.
Thanks, Ash. Members of council, motion to confirm the agenda, please. Councillor Bodner, Councillor Butters, questions or comments? Councillor Butters, question?
No, I'm getting ready to vote.
All those in favor? Opposed? That will be carried. Thank you, members. Are there any disclosures of interest this evening? No disclosures? I do have 3 sets of minutes. If you don't mind, I'll do them in block. I have the first minutes of the 25th meeting special of council, dated July 22nd, 2013. The minutes of the 26th meeting of special of council, dated July 22nd, 2013. And finally, the minutes of the 27th meeting regular of council, dated July 22nd, 2013. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Bodner, Councillor Danch, questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? That will be carried. Are there any items for separate discussion? With none, if I can have a motion to accept the items listed in your agenda, please. Councillor Kenny? Are you going to move that? Okay.
She's trying to stall.
I know she's trying to stall. I know. Councillor Kenny, seconder. Councillor Elliott. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? That will be carried. Members, I have 2 proclamations this evening that I'll be looking for a mover and seconder on. The first one is the National Child Day Proclamation of November 20th, 2013. That whereas National Child Day is a day to celebrate children and to demonstrate our respect for their rights and aspirations. And whereas National Child Day is celebrated throughout the world, commemorating the adoption of the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of the Child in 1959, and the United Nations adoption of the Convention of the Rights of the Child in 1989. And whereas National Child Day holds significance for Niagara, as it is one of the first communities in Canada to institute a Charter of Rights for children and for teens. And whereas this charter has since been endorsed by the Niagara region, including all 12 municipalities, all local school boards, and several local businesses and community organizations. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Vincent Badaway, do hereby proclaim November 20th, 2013 as National Child's Day here in the city of Colborne in recognition of our youngest citizens. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Butters, Councillor Kenny, questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? That will be carried. And that's what you call getting ahead of the game. November 20th. I don't usually see these until like November 1st. Someone over there is well ahead of themselves. The second proclamation, members, is the South Niagara Life Center Ministries Awareness Month for October 2013. That whereas South Niagara Life Center's Ministries vision statement is helping people resolve life crisis, issues, and problems, and whereas South Niagara Life Center's Ministries counseling, health, and wellness services are freely offered to all people at 143 Gilmore Road, 5 days a week in the town of Fort Erie, and in their contact office at 26B Charlotte Street here in the city of Port Colborne, 1/2 day a week on Wednesday afternoons. And whereas South Niagara Life Center's Ministries is a multi-counseling service provider offering 29 categories of free and confidential services in a variety of areas of crisis and emergency situations, including marriage and family relationships, conflict resolution, depression and anxiety, budgeting, child apprehension, assistance, parenting, food and clothing, resources through their Earn As You Learn life skills classes, and more. Further information can be obtained from their website at www.slmcouncil.ca. And whereas South Niagara Life Centers Ministries invites guests to attend their public awareness campaign, this kickoff is on Saturday, September 28th, being held in Fort Erie in conjunction with South Niagara's Sugar Bowl Walk and Roll fundraising campaign at the Fort Erie Library Sugar Bowl Park from 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And whereas South Niagara Life Centers Ministries invites guests to attend their Oktober awareness tours at the Fort Erie location on Monday, October 21st at 4 p.m. and their awareness campaign finale on Friday, October 25th, being held in Waynfleet in conjunction with their Hope for Life fundraising event. This will be held at the Waynfleet BIC located at 53007 Perry Road from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Please come as their guest and consider bringing others by calling 905-871-0236. So therefore, I, Van Sam Badaway, Mayor of the City of Port Colborne, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2013 as South Niagara Life Center Ministries Awareness Month here in the City of Port Colborne. That was a long one. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Kenny, Councillor Desmarais, all in favor? Opposed? That was carried. Thank you. Madam Clerk, we are now at the minutes of the boards, commissions, and committees. So if you don't mind, as well as members of council don't mind, I'll do them in block. It's fine, guys? All right, first I have the minutes of the Port Colborne Historical and Marine Museum board meeting of June 18, 2013. The minutes of the Canal Days Advisory Committee meeting of June 19, 2013. The minutes of the Joint Board of Management Niagara Region Courts meeting of June 13, 2013. The minutes of the Port Colborne Transit Advisory Committee meeting of May 22, 2013. And the minutes of the Port Colborne Transit Advisory Committee meeting of June 26, 2013. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Elliott, Councillor Kenny, questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? That will be carried. Are there any notices of motion? Madam Clerk, you're up. Introduction of the bylaws.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That the following bylaws be read 3 times and finally passed. Bylaw 59909613, being a bylaw to appoint the named Blue Knight security employee as a bylaw enforcement officer, and bylaw 59919713, being a bylaw to set a lapsing date of draft plan approval for Rosedale subdivision.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Kenny, Councillor Bodnar, questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? That will be carried. We'll now move on to the confirmatory bylaw.
That the following bylaw be read a first, second, third time and finally passed. Bylaw 59929813, being a bylaw to adopt, ratify, and confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the City of Port Colborne at its special and regular meetings of August 12, 2013.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Butters, Councillor Bodnar, questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? That will be carried. Before I ask for the next motion to go into closed session, members, I will announce our next dates for a meeting here. Special meeting of council, 6:30 p.m. Wednesday, August 21st, 2013. That would be followed by a committee of the whole and council meeting on August 26th, which is a Monday, here in the chamber, once again beginning at 6:30 p.m. So with that, I will be looking for a motion to go into closed session. That council do now proceed in camera in order to address the following matters. A, the minutes of the closed session portion of the July 8, 2013 and July 22, 2013 council meetings, as well as B, confidential planning and development report 2013-44 concerning a potential disposition of city-owned land pursuant to Municipal Act 2001, subsection 2392C, a proposed or pending acquisition of or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. Mover and seconder, Councillor Elliott, Councillor Bodnar, questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? That will be carried. Have a wonderful week.